I'm putting off shopping. I have to go food shopping, and I actually go to sometimes 3 different places. Rite Aid has cereal on sale. I don't know if you know that, but they do. And I don't. I for some reason I crave cereal, so I'll just pop in there to see what kind of amazing sale they have on cereal. Never mind the fact that cereal boxes have gotten smaller over the years. When did that happen? When I was a kid, they were huge. Is it because I was smaller or because the boxes were actually bigger? In any event, that's what I'm putting off today. I don't know why. I gotta go out. I gotta take care of this. But in the meantime, I'm going to do this little intro for Joe Duncan's Talk Show, episode 14, part 2 with Tim Scott. This guy, the stories, they get wackier. And I think wackier is a little dismissive because it gets a little dark. He talks about a shooting. He talks about a woman getting hit by a car. He talks about his heart attack at an absurdly young age. But he survived it all. He's got an amazing attitude about things. And I knew as soon as I was interviewing the guy, this is going to be 2 parts. And we might even have him back, because the guy just, like he said, he's got stories for days. So please enjoy, or just watch and maybe not enjoy. I don't mean to give you orders. Do what you want. I'm going to stop talking. Here comes part 2 with Tim Scott. You do whatever you want.
Are there people that you go out at night and you see them like regulars and just have a chat with them and you just pull over and say, "Hey, Bob, how's life?" and just talk to them?
Yeah.
I need you to get out of the way.
Yeah, there used to be a guy named Parking Lot Lewis, was his name. Parking Lot Lewis was a part-time security guard and gold miner, and very interesting guy. He had a girlfriend named Jeannie. She was a stripper from the 40s. You know, the kind where the tassels on the nipples go like this.
Yeah.
Jeannie was probably, Lewis was probably like 5'10". Jeannie was 6'1", if anything, if more. Oh my gosh. Big, tall woman. She was in show business, according to her, and she went to Japan, and she used to do puppet shows and stripping and all this stuff. And when she came back from Japan, her house in Hollywood burned down. No one knew how to get a hold of her, so all her stuff got destroyed. She lost all of it, okay, except for what she could get salvaged out of her garage. So sad story. Parking Lot Lewis was an alcoholic that, you know, he lived in a camper on the parking lot. He put security on it, and that was his little claim to fame. Gold mining during the summer season, but always got robbed. Came back with nothing. So him and Jeannie hooked up, and they kicked him off the parking lot. Needed a place to stay, and I said, "Well, you can put you can park your van, your camper in the back of my house, in my backyard, And I go, she goes, well, he goes, what about Jeannie? And I said, well, she can. I don't care. I go, she needs something to do. I'll pay her $10 to keep my house clean, if she wants. Okay, great. So they started living in my backyard. And Jeannie did a great job cleaning my house. But, over time, I got to talk to her. She used to be from Chicago. She hung out with Al Capone's crew. Right?
Right.
And I'm going, bullshit. Right? She goes, oh no. She goes, I'm the first woman to have ever been kicked out of the Flamingo for wearing a bikini. And I go, Jeannie, you're full of crap. She goes, no. She goes, wait right there. And she went into her little camper thing, came back with a photo album, and she showed me her portrait, her shots of when she was stripping. Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. I go, Jeannie, there's no way that can be you. I go, you platinum blonde, tall, huge boobs, whole thing. She goes, I did this for blah, blah, blah. She goes, I travel the world. I've seen so many things. I've done so many of this. Incredible, right? Pictures with Capone and what was his Frank Nettie? Was that the
It might have
one
been.
of his?
I don't know too many of those names.
But anyways, gangster guys, this whole thing, right? She's got pictures of them. They're all like, you know, hugging her and what have you. Newspaper clip: woman kicked out of Flamingo pool because of wearing a bikini. You know, 1940, not 19, you know, 56 something or whatever. I'm like, Jeannie, I can't believe how beautiful you are, you know. She goes, I was quite a gal, wasn't I? I'm like, oh, you're so funny. Funny lady. But get this. Her family, her grandfather or father wrote the 10 Commandments of minors law. Okay? The 10 Commandments, thou shalt not covet someone's claim, thou shalt not do that, you know, just as a thing. And she had it in her family Bible. This thing, this document. I never saw it, but that's what she, because they disappeared.
So just by coincidence, she's
Just
going
by-
out with it was a minor.
Yeah, she ended up with a minor. Well, it gets even crazier. She got wind of the Gene Autry Museum, and she said, I have an original document that my grandfather, father, you know, I'm going to say grandfather, wrote the 10 Commandments of minors law. The Gene Autry Museum bought this thing for $250,000 from her. It's not at the museum. I've been there looking for it. So it must be in some warehouse for later display or whatever. Or I just don't know where it's at, which is true too. But she took that money, bought a piece of property on the Russian River for her and Lewis to mine gold on. She put a mobile home on it so they could, you know, mine year round. And the only reason I know that is they came down from up north to hand me a little vial of nuggets that they had dug out of the doggone river to say thank you for letting us stay in your backyard for all that time. And then I said, where the heck have you been? And that's the story.
That's the whole story. And the Russian River is up north of San Francisco. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Some gold mining up there and good wine country too. Wow.
Dang, is that crazy?
That is crazy, but it's also an example of people who made something of themselves.
Yeah. Well, the sad ending is Jeannie passed away. And because she wasn't married to Parking Lot Lewis, the state got her property, everything, you know, and Lewis was back on the street. But by then he was in really bad shape and ended up, you know, being in a home, you know, there for a while. So I used to go and visit him every once in a while, and he gave me a recipe for, you know, the ultimate barbecue ribs, kind of. Yeah, well, it wasn't that ultimate. May have been good for him, but.
Did Lewis pass away then?
Lewis passed away too. Yeah.
Wow.
It's you know, it's sad because there was another guy, Gordy. I found him in an abandoned vehicle, and I put him up in one of my extra rooms, and he had terminal brain cancer, and I took care of him for I'm gonna say about 6 months, and that was one of the hardest things I've ever did in my life, was to write that do not resuscitate letter for when he goes under, you know, when he starts to, don't revive him, you know. That freaked me out for the longest time.
Was that a discussion that you and he had at some point leading up to?
Well, we never really had it, but we have talked about, you know, hey, I don't want to be a vegetable. You know, when it's time to go, let it go. He goes, we had the same mentality. It's a quality of life issue.
Yeah.
If my life has got no quality, you know, don't hang on to me, you know, let me go. And I had just remodeled my house with new windows and all paint, made custom molding, and he's trying to walk. And I go, Gordy, you can't do that yet. Not till I get somebody here. And he goes, I'm all right. And man, he just, oh shoot. But anyways, I used to pay people to sit with him, you know, that we knew that he knew. And you know, he was terminally ill. He said, don't put me in a home. Don't put me in a home. And then on the last day, he goes, you get Tim. He goes, you got to put me in. You got to put me in. He goes, I can't. You know, I had social services there. Had a nurse showing up every day or every other day. Meals on Wheels. You know, whatever I could do to keep him going. And he said, Timbo, can't do it. I said, all right, brother. I got him down. I got him a case of sodas, a carton of cigarettes, and I said, I'll see you tomorrow after work. And I got a phone call, you know, that he's gone into a respiratory arrest. And, you know, he goes, look, we can put him on a machine. And I said, no, don't do that. And he goes, well, you better write a letter. And I wrote a letter. And that was about an hour and a half later, he, you know,
wow,
he moved on. But
did you ever find his family?
Well, the day he went into the hospital, I called his brother and I said, hey man, Gordy's you know, in a home now, and he's not doing good. You should come see him, you know. I'm going camping. And they went camping, you know. So after, you know, I took care of the services and everything. He was a vet, so the VA took care of that. And so I'm sitting there, and he had a box of, he was a Finnish cement guy, finisher. So I had a box of tools and everything, didn't know what to do with. Then I get a phone call from a sister that said they wanted to do a memorial. I said, sure, no problem. Then I said, what about his tools? They said, give them to the brother. So I gave him the tools to the brother. And then his son called me up. Where's my dad's stuff? I go, what stuff? You know, his car, his gold, his money, his this. Where's all his stuff? I go, dude, I don't know where his stuff's at. I go, your dad died with the clothes I gave him. I found him in an abandoned car over there in Arleta, and he's been staying with me ever since. Well, where is this? Where? I go, I don't know where it's at. He goes, you stole it. You're a no good son of a bitch. I go, my address is this. I says, please come over and I'll give you what you deserve. That was it. Never heard from him again. So,
wow, man.
So there's a couple of people that I met while sweeping.
Yeah, there's a couple of people you met. That's really incredibly big-hearted of you to say, hey, just come stay at my house, because I don't think the average person would do that.
Well, I should say that, you know, I mean, used to have coffee with him. There's a donut shop over there, kind of all stopped at. He, you know, you kind of saw him every day. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a total stranger. Although I have done that to total strangers, you know, giving them a, dude, you want a break? You know, I had this one guy. I just need a place to stay for a couple of days. I said, all right, okay, cool, you know. And I go, good. I tell you what, I go, if things work out, I go, I'm taking off. Just watch my house, dude. And, you know, there's food here, whatever. Go, you know, have at it. You know, none of my stuff was worth, I mean, you could have found my stuff most of my stuff that I had in my house, I found on parking lots. So I wasn't really missing, or you know what I mean? Okay. Wasn't really, you know, oh, they're going to steal this. You want that piece of junk TV? I'll help you carry it. Okay. So it wasn't a big deal. And so I came back and he was just freaking out, and he had dug up my carpet and started to dig up the wood floor underneath it because he was hearing voices.
Oh, jeez.
So I finally got him calmed down, finally found a sister, and then they go, you know, it happens. He goes off, you know, he's manic, and, you know, bipolar, manic, this, that. I said, yeah, no, oh, what about their house? I said, I go, the people that come to my house, they won't notice it.
The fact that you handled it so graciously. I mean, this guy destroyed part of your home.
Oh, come on. You have to laugh, right?
Well,
Yeah.
it's if it were my home, I'd have a hard time laughing about it.
Well, again, like I said, you know, this is that first house I bought. This is the first I rented it. You know, you know, I mean, other than burning it down, I didn't really see it and that never even clicked into my head that it would burn down. You know, I'm thinking, oh, what if they steal this? Oh, they're gonna haul off an old sparkless bottle full of pennies. I'd like to see that, you know.
Speaking of which, you were talking about how a lot of your stuff was salvage.
Parking lots?
Well,
oh my gosh!
The occasional wallet. That's my question. What do you find that's good enough to take home?
Dude, I've found bedding. I've found couches, recliners, TVs. Jeez, man, I had somebody call up and say, oh, you know, we got kicked out of the house. I need beds for my kids, blah, 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 and everything. I go to this place in Simi, and there's two twin beds in plastic sitting right there, you know, by the trash can. You know, somebody had used them, left them in the plastic, and then we're like, get rid of them. And I mean, literally just, we're there. I tied them onto my truck. I drove to her apartment, put them right there on their doorstep, banged on her door, and left. You know?
And so it was literally right after she asked for them.
It was within days.
That's amazing.
Within days.
You know, again, not the average person. I don't think this happens to the average person. I kind of wonder if there's some sort of, I'm getting kind of hippy dippy here, but some sort of cosmic connection that you have with the universe, because you kind of let stuff just roll off your back, and then somebody's in need, you're just kind of a conduit to find this stuff. I mean,
well,
does this sort of thing just keep happening to you?
I don't know. I lose my temper. I get upset. I mean, you heard my bit about Sears.
Refresh my memory. I heard the JC.
Oh my God. Bit. So one of the true benefits that I have found from sweeping parking lots is trash picking. Okay. And we've talked about the big items and stuff like that. When I did the Lumber Cities, they threw away a whole display of different faucets, sinks, bathrooms, utility, all kinds. It was probably close to $1,000 worth of faucets that they taken out of a box and put them on a shelf for display.
So these were just plastic replicas. These were actual faucets.
These were actual faucets. So, and they threw away probably 10 barbecues with rotisseries. Okay. So, you know, my biggest problem, and I still have it, is I am a glorified, fun-loving trash picker. Started when I was a baby and been going ever since, you know. So I'm tying all this stuff onto my truck, you know. I mean, just a big haystack of stuff. And then, you know, go sweeping, you know. So then I get home Saturday. The neighbor down the street always had a yard sale. So I would just put out more signs to direct them to my house. And then I would sell more junk that I would acquire. And it helped supplement the income, you know, in the process. And had a lot of fun. So that was a couple of things. One of the things I also found was this, I think it's a radio out of a headphones and mic out of a B-52 bomber is what I told myself. I don't know what it is, but, you know, it's got, you know, the headphones and.
Oh, yeah.
Roger, you know, remember this? Hello? Hello, Sarge. Hello.
What is the grossest thing you've ever found where you thought, oh God, I have to go to get a hazmat suit. I got to go to the emergency room and get hosed off or something. Was there ever anything where you thought,
I don't know if I you know, I mean, the grossest thing, and you know, I mean, you find used sex toys and stuff like that. That's pretty, you know, that stuff you kick, you don't touch.
No, maybe you don't.
Well, I'm not touching them used, you know, but anyways, but the grossest thing was when I saw the hooker down there in Venice get run over. That was actually the grossest thing. Yeah, I had a new guy with me. We had we had just stopped and had Tommy's burger right there at, I think it's Rose and Lincoln, and down the street was my lot. And as I was heading down there, I saw something flip over the first car, and the second car skidded on her. I only say her because I found out, you know, when I shoveled her up, there was a bra there, but skidded on her for about 75 feet. And I, you know, I told the new guy, I said, grab a shovel, man. We got to shovel this up, and we got to deflect traffic, and we got to do this. And he was overthrowing up. And, you know, the joke is he didn't like Tommy's burger.
Yeah. But the fact that you can joke about it, though, is, I mean, that's kind of horrifying.
It's not a pretty sight, man.
No, I'm sure it isn't.
No, it's never, you know, there was another time, it was like in the first week of me sweeping parking lots. I'm doing a car wash, one of them little, you know, put a quarter in. And I see this kid kind of moving around, you know, and just because I was kind of a nutty kid, you just know suspicious characters. So I was keeping an eye on him, and he went over to an ice machine. I don't know if you remember ice machines, but you used to be able to block by ice and machines. And he comes over, and there was a kind of a homeless guy walking down the street, and he walked up to him, and he stuck a gun in his face and says, "Give me your money." And the old man goes, "Ah." He goes, "Give me your money or I'll blow your fucking head off." And the old man goes, "Fuck you." He goes, "I'll do it." And the old man took a step and turned around. And one step later, and I heard bang, shot the guy in the back of the head. Now, I'm not going to mess with a guy with a gun unless I have one, and I didn't. And so I'm driving right over the planters, the curb, you know, I'm taking the vacuum hoses with me, you know, and I drive to the nearest 7-Eleven at where the San Fernando PD hung out. And I said, "Hey, you got some Looney Tune? Just shot a guy in the back of the head. He's down there at Truman and Hubbard and by the ice machine, da-da-da-da." And they're like, stay here. And I go, "No, I'm going to watch." So I followed them back. I had to finish the parking lot anyways. So they're running around. They catch the guy. And they go, "Okay, you know, we got the guy. We got the gun. We know this kid." You know, he goes, "One problem." He goes, "Where's the body?" I go, "What?" He goes, "Where's the body?" And I'm like, "Well," I go, "Shot him right there." And then all of a sudden, heading towards, I think it's Major's Liquor, this guy's on all fours crawling the rest of the way home. What's mind-blowing is when the kid shot him, it hit him through the back of the neck. And I guess there's like some kind of whatever went between these muscles and came out through the top of his jaw, knocked out all his teeth, or, you know, on that side of his face. And he lived. So put that sumbitch in jail, right? Let's get that guy off the street. So turns out the kid was probably 16 and a half, almost 17. So I worked all night. I stayed up all day. They didn't do it in the morning court. They did it in the late night court, in the afternoon court. And they finally come up and they're like, okay, you're going to be a witness for the state? I go, you bet. He says, we'll pay you for that. I go, well, if you're going to pay me, sign me up. Right? He goes, it's only $5. I almost felt like telling him, you know what? It's okay. You know, but I said, you know, I want the check. I have it somewhere. I don't know where it's at, but the state mails you a check
The
for
state
being a
paid you
witness.
$5 to be a witness in an attempted murder.
In attempted murder. And get this, they plea bargained the kid out. He got 6 months at a fire camp and so probably some probation, and then that was it. And also what's weird is the guy that got shot never even showed up. So that was kind of the end of the case. And the kid looked at me and he goes, I know you. And I go, I hope so, because I live in this town. I'm here every day. I'm here every night, anytime you want to talk. And they hauled him off to jail. So, and what's interesting is I talked to the sheriff or the sergeant later about that time, and he remembered me from that. And I think 10 years had passed. He says that kid is still doing stupid stuff and getting in trouble to this very day.
Wow.
So,
just in and out of the system.
That's not even half as crazy. Real quick, because I know you want to get all these in a minute.
Hey, no, you're doing fine, man.
I'm sweeping. There's a Chinese restaurant at Kittredge and Van Nuys Boulevard years ago. And I'm sitting there and I see this guy like dragging trash to the parking lot. And he's an old guy. You know, he must be 70, 75 years old or whatever. And I'm like, do I really need to, you know, educate this old bastard? You know, I'm like, whatever, you know, no big deal. And I started sweeping, blowing the place out and sweeping it. And all of a sudden, black and white start showing up. I'm like, what the hell? And they're like, did you see what was going on? I go, yeah, an old man dragged trash over there. It wasn't trash, it was his mom. 75-year-old dragged his mom. She must have been 95, better, or whatever. Turns out he was tired of her bitching at him to get a job and to get out of her house. So to shut her up, he stabbed her and she died. So he came up with a plan. I'll make it look like she got attacked and murdered, raped, and whatever. So he ended up stabbing her over 100 times in the chest and body and head and everything. And he wanted to, his big plan was to get away on his bike to go to a 7-Eleven to tell, you know, so that he could have an alibi. But yours truly spotted him before, you know, all that happened. And so, is that wild? That was
wild.
Pretty cool.
It makes you a little bit of a superhero too.
Oh, I didn't do nothing.
No,
I was sweeping a parking lot, brother. I didn't, you know.
Well, you didn't stop a crime, but you solved it.
Nah, I don't know about that.
Well, you're modest. I guess it's just the kind of thing that will happen on the job for people. And they're going, you know, it's
you're working nights
where the average person is going, I don't know what I would do, to which you would probably say, you'd probably do what I did. I think the average person would say, tell the cops, hey, look, I just saw this thing. And
yeah, you handle it. You handle it. That's what you do, is you handle it. And that's all. That's the reality of it.
Speaking of handling things, there's a pivot here. I remember you told me this years ago. Can we talk about that time you had a heart attack?
Well, that's how I got into the sweeping business.
But okay, first of all, this is what makes the story interesting. Tell everybody how old you were when you had this heart attack.
I was 29.
That's hard to do even on purpose. How on
well,
earth have a heart attack at age 29?
Okay, so the guy, all right, I'll go back really fast. I swept parking lots for this guy, Pat. And we had a falling out. You know, I just was trying to improve myself, you know, with some better things, buy the house, you know, I was 22 years old. And so I was working 2 jobs. So I was sweeping parking lots during the day, and I was doing construction work again at sweeping parking lots at night, doing construction during the day, getting about, 4 hours sleep. So the Pat found out about it, said, you can't do 2 jobs. I'm like, I've been doing 2 jobs now for over a year. And he's like, there's no way, blah, blah, blah. You're done. I'll find somebody else. Okay. And what's interesting, I was doing about 32 stops a night for him, anywhere from 27 to 32 stops, depending on what night. And not little stops. Stops like one of the stops I had was NBC Studios down there in Burbank.
Yeah.
That's when I found out that Trisha Toyota drove a Datsun. That always still cracks me up to this day. Met Jamie Farr there. Pretty cool. Had 2 awesome girls on each arm at a rap party. But my favorite thing was the Say It with Sign people. They had a TV show back then. It was like a PBS thing, and they had a show where their kids were born deaf, and so they learned how to do sign, and they made a show of it to educate everybody else. And they filmed at the studio there. Got to meet them one time. That was more thrilling than I could ever imagine, because people that speak other languages always fascinate me, because I have a hard time with the English language, let alone adding something else. So I'm easily amused and easily impressed. But they were really, really neat people. So anyways, I did a lot of big parking lots for these guys. And the guy fired me. So I kept on working for Joe, doing set and scaffold. And what had happened, a stack of planks crashed onto the back of my leg and created a blood clot. And I didn't know, it's a bruise, no big deal. Keep working. Well, after a couple weeks, what happened is the clot grew, and as my leg built up pressure, shot the clot into my heart, causing the heart attack, caused my heart to swell like, 4 times its size. So it was insane. The pressure built up, then shot the clots into my lungs, which gave me a pulmonary embolism. So I had a mild heart attack with a DVT into a pulmonary embolism. And I was on the job. Now, mind you, I don't really expect you to keep up with what I did back then, but I expect everybody to at least try. You don't try, just quitter, I can't deal with it. So I was a bit of a mouth, wasn't afraid to lock somebody in an outhouse if that was the case, to teach them. So here I am, I'm sick. I can't keep I get on this job, and we're supposed to do 3 other jobs that day, and I can't keep my eyes open. I'm screaming from the truck, telling these guys who don't know how to set scaffold to set scaffold. Got the jobs done, everything, moved to the next one, got the job done. And Joe, the owner, comes up and he goes, "You son of a bitch, if I'd known you was going to be feeling this puny, I'd have sit there and done something else." He's all pissed off at me, right? So I'm literally wiped out. And what's happening, because of the blood clots, because of the heart being swollen, nothing's pumping right. Nothing's working right. So I'm suffocating from the inside out. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't know what's wrong. I'll get it. Can't be, So I had to, he goes, "Well, last time I saw a guy look that bad, he died. You better go to the hospital." I go to Holy Cross and I'm sitting there. And, when you're sitting, I'm not exerting myself. So I start feeling a little better. And then the guy comes in, he's got this big old, broke his bone, coming through his arm. Some guy got kicked in the face by a horse, I'm like, oh my God, deal with these people. These people are hurt, So I was also, for fun, I was a bouncer at a nightclub.
For fun.
For fun. Well, yeah, I mean, so, so I had to go to work that night. I had to open up. And so I opened up and everything was cool. And wouldn't you know it, I ended up getting in a stinking fight. So.
And you had not been treated for this embolism yet.
I have nothing. I just went to the doctor and the nurse looked at me and said, "We're going to see you soon." I said, "No, you know what? Take care of these people. If something comes up, I'll come back. But, I think I'm fine." The nurse goes, "A guy like you will come back. You won't come in here in the first place. So you'll be back." I said, yeah, we'll see.
Wow, what very odd customer service.
So that's a Friday night. I'm in there and big old fight takes place. And so it's like four guys, not me and four guys, but, other bouncers. So, as a bouncer, I don't really want to send anybody to jail, and I don't want to sit there and punch somebody in the face. That's not my thing. I was there just to meet people. I met a lot of cool people. So I grabbed this guy, a little bit taller than I am, and I pick him up and I slam him on the ground. And when I slammed him on the ground, I blacked out to the point where I couldn't even hold him. I mean, my hands just laid to the side. And I go, "You only got one thing to do." And I sat there and I'm like going, "This guy can just tear your ass up. So what are you going to do?" I said, "Don't move, motherfucker. If you move, I'll kill you. You move, I'll kill you. If you move, I'll kill you." And the guy goes, "I ain't going nowhere." So after laying down for a little bit and everything got I picked him up, put him in handcuffs. Cops showed up. They go, "Do you want this guy arrested?" I said, No, I don't want him. He was the only one that got to go home. And the guy said, thanks. My wife would have killed me, blah, 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 and everything. And I go, no problem. I go, "Hey, you responded to my orders, and now that's it. I don't, I'm not here to make everybody's life miserable. Those other guys, they put up a fight. I was just lucky to grab that guy, and he's like, "Nope, I ain't doing it." And just
so when you're sitting on him, that's when you cool down, you start to feel better.
The blood pressure starts calm down. I'm laying flat. The blood's moving better. I can catch up, because what happens when I exerted, I literally put myself in a sleeper hold and blacked out. When I grabbed the guy and brought him up and then came down with him through all that muscle and everything needs blood and oxygen, and I just blacked out.
So at what point did you go to the hospital and say, "I need help"?
Well, that was Friday. So I didn't go to the hospital till Tuesday because I thought I had walking pneumonia. You know why? Because I watched Marcus Welby growing up, and there was nothing wrong with me.
Marcus Welby, the WebMD of the 60s.
So I said, you know what? I got walking pneumonia. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to drink some fluids, and I'm going to burn it out of my system. So I drank some fluids. I got my sleeping bag out. I got more blankets, and I just sweated the whole thing out of my system. No, I take that back. That was the second day. The first day, I said I was going to get on my bike and ride it for, 15 miles to kind of burn it out of my system. Well, going downhill was easy. I crawled back up. And I get to my house and I'm like going, "Oh, this walking pneumonia is going to kill me." I got to try burning it out of my system. And that's when I did the thing. And there was this little kid that used to live with me with his mom. They needed a place. I looked at him. I said, I said, Talon, buddy, you're looking at a dead man. And he's like, "Oh, it's okay. I go, "Yeah, you're right. So that was Saturday. Sunday, I did the sweat out. Monday, I felt good. I kind of felt good. Was a little dehydrated, felt good. So I started to go back to work, and I was part-time real estate through all this also. And so I said, Tuesdays are days where you get to go look at new homes for sale. I go, how hard can that be? I walked up 2 steps into a condo, and I got full on dizzy, passed out. I told everybody, you got to find another ride. I got to go to the hospital. And they said, okay, no problem. I drove to the hospital. The lady was there. She goes, I knew you'd be back.
Just what a sick person wants to hear.
And they put me in. They got me in right away. They did an EKG. The doctor comes in. He goes, you see this? Shows me the EKG. You see this? I go, yeah, it looks like a toilet paper for a midget. He goes, this shows you had a heart attack 5 days ago, and I'm admitting you in the hospital. I go, you ain't admitting shit. He goes, look, you are sick. You don't understand. You are sick. And I'm like, dude, I feel fine. I'll pick this bed up and beat you with it. He goes, I'd like to see that. And he goes, I'll tell you what. He goes, let me give you an IV of saline because you're dehydrated, which I was, from my brilliant doctor expertise on Sunday. So they jammed 2 bottles in me, did another EKG, and the guy says, there's no way, you're going in. So I'm like, oh, man, I go, man, get these IVs out of me. I'm not going. You're going to intensive care. I go, no way. I ain't doing it.
And you're 29 years old.
Yeah. And so I used to be a big, strong guy. Now I'm just a fat, strong guy. But anyways, I grab onto the doors. I said, not ICU, man. People go in there and they don't come out. And I go, it's not going to be me. And they're, they got all these security and people yanking on me. And finally they get me in there. I'm like, oh, man, whatever. So they're trying to figure out what the hell's wrong with me. Like you said, I'm 29, mouthy, strong. So then I'm in there and they're doing a where they come up through the groin, EKG, not EKG. Oh, shoot. What do they call it? Where they jam the wire up and go through your heart.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. The angio, is it angio?
Yeah, angio something. Yeah, something. They come up through the groin, and then you could see the picture, and so I'm on this most uncomfortable bed you can imagine because you're strapped to it, so they can move you around to get the wires to go places. I'm laying there, and the door opens. And there's the people I do real estate with standing in the hallway. I'm sitting there and I'm like, come on in. Doctor's like, we're right in the middle of a procedure. I go, come on in. They're like, what's going on?
Hospital to meet people anyway, so what?
So they sit there and they got to hear the story too, that I have this oversized heart. And they don't know what's wrong, and they have to do, more tests, but they, kind of a thing. And they just wanted to make sure there was no, blockages and what have you. Okay. So everybody leaves, wow, really sorry. Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be, we're good. And then I started a whole bunch of lung scans, and that's when they showed that my left lung, the chunks out, and the bottom part of my left lung's gone, and then a piece of my right is my right is now working good, but back then it wasn't. And that's from the blood clots. And what they found out through other tests is that I had a blood clot in my leg from when I got hit with a scaffold plank, went up into the heart, stopped it, shot it into the lungs, the whole deal. I was in there for about a week, well, maybe 2.
So what's the cure for that? Do they do surgery? Do they put you on blood thinners? How do they do that?
Well, back then there was really not much they could do, but they put a filter in me. So I had to go to San Diego so they could put a filter in me. They put me on blood thinners, and I'm on blood thinners to this day. So, so I go and they put this filter in me. That was embarrassing because you're at San Diego College, university. Well, it's a teaching hospital. Well, there I am, laying on this uncomfortable thing again, surgical bed, butt ass naked. And I'm thinking, oh, no big deal. But I didn't notice all the chairs. All of a sudden, the class started. Like, and I'm strapped in. I'm like, what do you do? Go with it, man. Go with it. That's all you can do. And they sat there and they used me as an example and put in the filter. I was playing flag football. Well, it doesn't sound too physical, but when you consider we had a guy from the Denver Broncos play on our team, a guy from a tight end from the Dallas Cowboys, another guy from the Miami Dolphins. We were a pretty serious flag football team.
Yeah.
It was always bloody, a lot of fun. So I played that following week. I played in a game and ended up making a dive for a flag, and I figured that's when I broke the filter that they put in me. So so that started letting too big of clots back into the heart. So they go, well, your filter's busted. I didn't tell them I was playing football. I just told them it was their fault.
Yeah, it's like the guy who breaks a TV and brings it back to the store. Your TV sucks.
So they put 2 more in me, 2 more filters. I have 3 of them. And you see the commercials about how they got all the problems with them. But anyways.
It's because all those people playing flag football right afterwards, Tim. Didn't you read the instructions when you got the thing?
You know what? I don't read. That's what happens when you drop out of school.
We got to go for a wrap here. I think the question I want to know is this.
All right. I'm getting to it really quick.
Okay.
Really quick.
Okay.
So after all of that's going on, workers' comp's supposed to pay the bill for the hospital. And they want to make me a security guard. And I'm like, I don't think I'll do well as a security guard. Oh, yeah. It'll be a great career. No. I go, I'll find my own job. Okay. I go, just pay the bill and let me go find my own job. And they said, no, we can't do that. And I said, what kind of job? They go, well, you need a job where you sit for a little bit and you walk for a little bit. And I said, okay, if I can find that job, do I have to go through your quote, quote, rehabilitation thing? And the guy goes, if you can find a job that your doctor approves of, the court doctors approve of, the judge approves of, and I approve of, he says, you got it. So that's when Pat, the guy that I had a falling out with for years back, said, hey, I'm selling my business. You want to buy it? I said, you bet.
You mean coincidentally, the guy just called?
No, well, he'd been trying to sell it for a year.
Okay.
So I kind of knew it was there. And I said, hey, that's a job. I sit for a little bit and I walk for a little bit. So squirreled up the money. That's another crazy story, but squirreled up the money and my doctor approved of it. Court's doctor approved of it. Judge approved of it. And the workers' comp guy approved of it. And that's how I started in the sweeping business.
And the question I wanted to know was, when you were in San Diego, was the first thought was, who does your parking lots? Because that sounds like a big client right there, Tim. You gotta.
But what's interesting? What's interesting is Supreme Sweeper, which is the name of my company, originally started in San Diego.
Really?
Yeah. Is that wild?
That's where you became a teacher.
It went full circle, right?
Yes, it's all full circle.
The original guy that designed the sweeper business was a snake wrangler out of Lancaster. Would literally been bitten by rattlesnakes dozens of times, Gila monsters and all that stuff. He ended up meeting John Wayne, Jimmy Stewart, Cagney, all the top movie stars from Hollywood would come up to see his snake wrangling show that he did in Lancaster.
And he was the one who started he
started the sweeper business. He also was on the cover of Life magazine in 1951 and in 1953 on how to catch timber rattlers with cotton ball.
dude, we got to have you back. I mean, seriously, it just never ends with you. Tim Scott.
We didn't even talk about sweeping at all, brother. I don't know what to tell you.
That's fine. That's part of the reason we do this, man. Just to hear the stories. Thank you so much for your time, dude. This is great.
I hope I entertained.
Oh,
brother.
yeah, gee, do you think?
You know what I admire about a guy like Tim Scott? Well, first of all, not a guy like Tim Scott. Tim Scott. You know what I admire about this guy? Lives fearlessly. Just goes out and does it. And then he meets the rather earthy sorts that he meets, and he's just like, well, I ain't afraid of you, and I'm going to take care of this, and yeah, you blah, 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 big mouth, whatever. I work here. I live in this neighborhood. I'll see you when I see you. And guess what? He never sees him again. Why? Because bullies are just made of twigs, man. You stand up to them, and then whoosh, they just vanish. Plus, Tim's a big dude, so, you know, push comes to shove. These people don't want things to come to push and shove, so they just go away. The other thing I admire about this guy is he's a likable, nice guy. Big-hearted dude. I mean, letting strangers stay in his house, you know, just to help him out. Just like, hey, how about I'll help you out. Stay in my house. I'll pay you to do a little work. And some people are just drawn to people like that. They just sort of have this sort of cosmic connection to the universe where they have the capacity to assist. And then the people in need just sort of show up, but not in a needy way, not in a take advantage of way, but just sort of a synchronous way where the universe, you know, combines people who can complement each other in such a way that they can make each other's lives a better place. Honey bunches of oats were on sale.